Merry Christmas, everyone. We've got a Christmas episode here for you. Funny stories from our road trips and things like that. Hopefully you find them as funny as we do. This is coming out on Christmas Day, so hopefully you find time to tune in. Keith, I hope you're doing well, mate.
I'm doing well. Obviously, we've had a little bit of a giggle on a few of these stories, and I hope we can get these stories across and make them sound as funny as what they actually were, because some of them are hilarious.
Oh, it's one of the best things about this podcast, isn't it? When we just talk a little bit before, we have to keep cutting each other off. So we want to save the laughter for the show. Before we get into the stories, are you ready? Are you ready for Christmas? I know people listening. This will be Christmas Day, but obviously recording it a couple of days before.
Yes.
You're all ready, are you? Got the presents all sorted? All that kind of stuff?
I've got a few more to. I've got a few more to do, but I'll get there by tomorrow.
Okay. Are you relying on Amazon here?
Which for everyone listening, that doesn't mean Boxing Day. That is obviously.
Fair enough. It's one of those where I don't know. We got a thing, me and the missus, really. We're playing that game as spending the same amount as each other. Do you know what I mean? So I sort of said to my daughter the other day, do you know what? You know, if Mummy's got me anything, or what? You know, trying to get an idea of what I need to back it up with, so I can pop into Leamington or whatever, and you know what I mean. Make sure that I get it right. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. Oh, actually, I do have one more question for you. Christmas songs, Keith. Are you a fan or not a fan?
I don't mind them. It just depends. Have you got something? Have you?
No. I was just the lads in the gym the other day. One of the lads, Matt Salisbury, wanted to put Christmas songs on, and none of the other lads were having it.
Well, no, fair play to him, and he needs to sort himself out. I can't have that. That tells me you're not actually trying to do anything in the gym. You might as well walk out.
Sauls. You know what? At the minute, he's doing a little bit of like very specific work for a knee niggle he's had, and just to look at him, it looks like he's just strapped into like a machine the whole time he's in there doing these like isometric knee exercises. It's brilliant. When everyone else is, getting busy around him. So he probably just needed a bit of cheering up with some Christmas stuff. But yeah, okay. Anyway, where should we go to kick off these stories?
I think we should probably work north to south.
Go on, then.
We haven't got a story for every place. Some places might have been a bit more boring than others, but I'm sure there'll be other county cricketers that have experienced funny stories at the places we haven't been able to. But should we start up at Durham, shall we?
Yes. Now, I forgot a really important detail with this Durham story, is that it actually made Sky Sports News, which is pretty massive. But I don't want to jump the gun too much. But it started, didn't it? It must have been. I'm trying to think of the timing of it. It was before. It would have been before the football season, presumably.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
During that kind of, I guess, during the transfer window, right?
When the transfer window's obviously coming to a close, there's like a few days left, or like I think there was a week left. If I'm being honest, I'm pretty sure I remember it reasonably clear. And there'd been whispers from the end of the season that Newcastle were interested in signing a certain striker, I think it was.
No, it's defensive midfielder. Oh, yes, right. Jan Envia is the player in question.
Yes.
He was like a controversial defensive midfielder, this player.
Yes, that's it. And myself, you and Ricky Clark and Varun Chopra all went out for food a few nights, didn't we?
Let's be honest, nearly every night.
Yeah.
We were at the Ramside Hotel.
And it was interesting because, obviously, a group of four lads just sat eating away. We're eating. What hotel was it again? The Ramside.
The Ramside Hotel, and we were at an Asian fusion restaurant. It was quite. Yes. It was on the site, so to speak.
No, I remember it quite well. I remember, when you just get like a sense. We've been there for a while, and you just get a sense of people looking at you. I get that all
the time, Keith.
Probably that Tash, mate. I'm not sure.
Admiration for it. Yeah.
I could feel like people looking our way, but not thinking much of it. And then I noticed that Ricky Clark, who sat across from me, was like noticing people looking, and yourself and Varun Chopper. We thought, this is weird. And we just like looking around a little bit, and all eyes are on our table. You're thinking, what is going on here? This is a bit weird. And we kind of figured now people are looking at Varun Chopra. Like, and we obviously finished our meal, and even the waiters and waitresses, everyone looking at this one table, which was us. And we eat our food, pay for our bill, and we leave. And there were quite a few females there, Chris, which were eyeing up Chops a little bit.
Yeah.
And was it that night we found out, or was it the night after what had actually happened?
I think it was a few days after we found out exactly what was going on through Scott Borthwick. But something else happened the night after this, didn't it? At the Nando's by the river in Durham.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to try and recall this properly, but everyone knows the setup in Nando's kind of thing, and I'm pretty sure. Essentially, there was a table up the side of the Nando's near where we were sitting, and I think it was like a hen party or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chops still probably was noticing all this attention he was getting. He seemed to be getting in the northeast at this point. And he was walking to his table, I want to say with sauces and stuff, because obviously you have to, your meal's there, you got your sauces. But where he was kind of flirting, I think, with, this table. Well, I'm not talking flirting like speaking to them, just, giving them the eyes and stuff like that. He then went to sit down at the table, but his chair wasn't where he thought it was. And then he knocked all his food. He knocked like half a chicken and chips over himself. And I just distinctly remember him being on the floor like, oh, like, look, it was the best thing ever. And we were obviously all just sat there going like, oh my God, this is amazing. So anyway, that was like the second night. So we had Asian Fusion night 1 and just everyone staring at us. That happened the following night. And I'm pretty sure, did Scott Borthwick talk to you?
Well,
Or someone?
It was being more known that this transfer rumoured signing was around Newcastle and with his entourage. Obviously in talks with Newcastle and looking to sign a deal, all coming closer to the deadline. And then Scott Borthwick, I think he may have told Clarkey, said, were you guys at such and such a place, Ramside? And Clarkey was like, yes.
Yeah.
He said people are mistaking Varun Chopra for Jan and Via.
Oh my word.
Which kind of probably burst Chop's bubble a little bit.
Massively.
Yeah, which obviously is a shame, but it was brilliant to think that people were thinking that we were footballers and a footballer with his entourage, his security or whatever. And it made it all the way to Sky Sports News, so that was pretty entertaining. I enjoyed that.
That was good. That was good and humbling for Chops as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brought him back down to earth, didn't it? To be fair.
We're not going straight there. Unfortunately, there is another story with him, but we're going to keep that. And I want to say now with Chops, there's not many things that Chops did that was funny, but it just so happens that there's another one which I found hilarious at the time.
The thing with Chops, you know what? He's one of I played quite a lot of cricket with Chops. He's such he's a bit of a legend, really. He's great. Yeah. He's great fun, but not deliberately fun. Is that fair? Is that what you're trying to suggest? He was funny, but he wasn't like trying.
He wasn't trying. Yeah.
I actually lived with him for a fair bit. To be honest, he let me kip on his sofa. When I was moving here, there, and everywhere from Essex to Stratford and back to Cambridge or whatever. So he was top class. Let me stay on his sofa. Kept me entertained. We used to watch Dexter most nights. Great show. Right. Okay. So Durham, brilliant. Where do you want to go after Durham, Keith?
Straight down to Yorkshire. It's just one game in particular which I found quite funny. Obviously, you do what you can to try and win, and Yorkshire were quite a stubborn team to knock over. And I think it may have been Jeetan Patel that was bowling. I can't remember, but there was a sweep, I think, out to deep backward square. And Atik Jarvis taking this catch. But obviously all his weight shifted. His feet are almost touching the rope. He's taken the catch. He's taken one huge step over the line with the ball in his hands. It's gone for 6. He steps back over the line, claims it. Bear in mind, there's a few hundred Yorkshire fans directly behind him, just shouting, "It's not out." He just claimed it's out. We asked him what's going on. We all kind of knew, but he was that far away that the square leg umpire couldn't really see. Claimed it. It was a typical Atik Javid thing to do, but I found that quite funny because he didn't care about the abuse that he was about to receive. He received a lot of abuse for the next few days. But in the same game, they had Pajara batting for them, who is literally a brick wall. And we had Pete McKay, who was the wicketkeeper, who would, in training, sometimes kind of, rather than push himself a little bit, would kind of see it as it's too unrealistic, the ball's turning too much, or it's wobbling too much. It's not, and we were trying to get him to understand that you've got to get yourself to that level. Pajara's been batting for a while. He's on 60, 70 odd. And little thin edge, goes straight to Pete. We start celebrating. He fumbles it. Clearly bounces on the floor. Pete dives on top of it. We are now aware that it's not out. But Pete kind of scrambles, picks the ball up, raises his arm above his head. He's caught it. We know he hasn't. So we kind of kind of thing. And I think the umpires weren't really in favour of giving it out. But there was one player in my team who goes by the name of Chris Wright, who is the most honest bloke I've ever met, apart from this one time.
I stand by it. I thought he caught it. I was being genuine.
And you knew the umpire. You admit on. You knew the umpire a lot better than most people would know that umpire or no umpires. You just got on with him quite well. And I remember you saying to the umpire, I forgot the umpire's name, but
we think it was Steve Garrett, I think. That
was it. Steve, I promise you, mate, he's the most honest lad you'll ever meet. He's not lying.
I don't know.
And Steve went with your call and gave Pajara out. And it's safe to say I think we may have won that game. We really probably pushed the boundaries of honesty in that game.
I remember walking off, I think it was at tea, because someone in the Western Terrace literally shouting, "I hope you die, McKay," and being like, "Oh my God, this is like wild." Because they can be a prickly crowd. You know what? Going back to that, I do remember one thing in that game. I'm sure I've told this, but I was at the 40. I was on the 45 when Jeets was bowling, and obviously Ambrose, who was a Jet, wasn't playing. We had Pete McKay playing that game, and again, I'm on the 45, so I'm sort of short, fine leg, that sort of area, and it was spinning out the rough that obviously you'd created.
Yeah.
And I remember Pete couldn't quite deal with it, and I had to fetch so many balls where he'd miss them, and I'm at short, fine leg, just having to just literally chase 2 or 3 times and over down to the boundary, and then try and bowl up the hill, and back Jeets up the other end. I remember being absolutely hanging. But that was good fun. Yorkshire, I've talked about this on a previous podcast, didn't we? We did our favourite trips. I love the trip to Leeds. Not because I'm like, I want to have a big night out in Leeds. I just enjoy the whole vibe and stuff. I think it's good memories. But yeah, that is a good one there. Just blatant cheating, but again, I was a bit oblivious to it, to be fair.
Next, Lanks. Now, I don't think you weren't here then. Varun Chopper was a new side. He'd had his winter with us, and he'd been working on his white ball skills and stuff like that. And we were batting first. Yes, we were batting first. Oh gosh, and he was opening the batting. His first T20 game for Warwickshire, and I remember him saying about I think we were aware they were going to open with spin, Stephen Parry, and he was going to look at using his options. I think one of the options was to reverse paddle to spin. First ball of the game, Stephen Parry runs up, lets go of the ball. Chops goes down on one leg, reverse paddles, but not just reverse paddles. Chops being Chops had to try and do it off the back of his bat. Missed it, got bowled. Obviously fuming with himself, new signing, probably made a bit of a show of himself. So he's walked off, chin strap across mouth, and he's walked into the changing room. But these changing rooms were the old changing rooms, where they had the big changing room door that led you to Mordor in the Lord of the Rings. It was huge, made out of the biggest tree you'd ever seen. It was heavy.
It was like a Viking longboat, that door, from memory. It was like it was a proper door, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I'm sat in the dugout, kind of, I think I was 12th man. And after about 20 minutes, he comes and sits down next to me. Obviously, he confided in me and Chops had played against each other from the age of 11. So,
you lived next to each other, didn't you, in the flats
as well,
over the road too?
Yeah. So he sits down next to me, and he's kind of got his hand kind of covered under his arm a little bit, and he's like, "Barks, what?" He's like, "I think I broke my hand."
He's like,
"What do you mean?" "I think I broke my hand." I said, How? He's like, "I punched the door." I'm like, "What door?" He said, "The changing room door." I was like, that door's made out of everything. Like,
it's a big door.
So how do you know? He's like, "I think it's swollen." And he lifted up his top. And if you're watching, you can obviously see on YouTube, but if not, basically I've got my hand slightly covered as though it's my top. And as he revealed his hand, he pulls it out, and there was a tremble. And as he pulled this knuckle out, his hand out, it was just like two fists together, shaking like he had Parkinson's. It was huge. It was massive. Lo and behold, he'd broken his hand, and he missed the next, I think, 6 weeks, which was hilarious. But yeah, I find it so funny, the fact he just thought he could, as frustration, I know, punch a door, but let's just size the door up before you think of doing something like that.
Yeah, there's doors, there's levels of door, isn't there? This is a proper door. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, it's funny to retell because it's Chops.
Yeah,
and it just adds to it. Like, what a beauty.
And that's tell you what's funny about that. Actually, he didn't want to say anything to the physio or to Ashley Giles, so he went out and fielded and tried to avoid getting the ball hit to him, and the ball just kept following him. He'd go like deep cover, smoked out to him. You could just see him kind of hovering his hand and like holding it in pain, trying not to look obvious. But yeah, really funny.
Well, I think what's also funny is like the kind of people, although it's professional, there's quite a lot of unprofessional stuff that creeps in because we're dealing with normal human beings here.
Yeah.
So, like, people are never perfect.
No.
And that kind of thing happens, doesn't it? People are a little bit embarrassed. They don't want to, show what's really happened. So I can imagine as a new signing, he was trying to brave it, but like literally with the biggest broken hand you've ever seen. Oh dear. Okay, good. That's good. Lanks. Yeah, I'm sure the older, if there's any older professionals listening or people that've been in the old dressing rooms, they'll know exactly the door that we're on about.
Yeah.
Okay, knots. Now I've got a little knot story here.
Yeah.
And you might know more details, but I remember observing this from afar, really. And I think for whatever reason, you and Clarkey had been on at one another. And I genuinely, it sounds so trivial, I'm pretty sure it was football related, that you'd had a bit of a Barney in the changing room, probably about fantasy football or Tottenham, Man United, like genuinely really like childish stuff. Anyway, out on the pitch, there was a partnership brewing. There would have been a left-hander batting, who I can't remember, but he was batting with Harry Gurney, who I don't know if Harry listens to the podcast. Hopefully he does. Right, that'd be cool. But Harry Gurney was not a batter. Like, probably one of the biggest number 11s you've ever seen. Is that fair?
Yeah.
I remember you put a shift in. I think you bowled pretty well, probably, but you'd come off. Clarkey was on to mop up the tail, and I remember Harry Gurney. Ultimately, he got about 20 odd. But in getting there, I'm pretty sure Clarkey was getting a bit annoyed. And he managed to chip him. Gurney chipped Clarkey over mid-off. And
that's where I was.
You were at mid-off.
Yeah.
And you ran down into the corner towards the pavilion. And again, anyone who knows Trent Bridge, so where the pavilion is at Trent Bridge, that boundary is kind of cut off, isn't it, where that new stand is? So it's kind of like a deep pocket, but I remember you chasing after it anyway, having bowled a hell of a lot. So it wasn't like you were back in the football days They got a 3, and Clarkey was literally livid. Anyway, next over, I remember being at deep square leg, just in front, but I was over pretty much in with the crowd because it's only a tiny boundary. So I'm stood there, and I can hear Clarkey chuntering, and I don't know where you were. I'm trying to pick. No, it wasn't the over. I got out because a left-hander was now on strike. That's it. So you were now at mid-on, and I was at deep square leg out to this side. And I remember Clarkey chuntering to you at mid-on, and then you going back at him, and then him going back at you, and then you literally started just abusing each other. And I could pretty much just hear the most rude conversation ever. But I'm in the crowd. I'm on that short side, so literally the whole stand was just listening to you and Clarkey just exchanging expletives and slagging each other off. And like everyone, I remember, carnage. I can't remember. It would have been Blackie. That was But I remember someone was near me, and we were like, "Oh, that they need to realise that everyone in Trent Bridge can hear their conversation here."
Yeah. So I can't remember if this was the same game or a different game, but there was that incident, and then there was one after that. That it was a different game. So right, that first one, what you're on about, that was Harry Gurney. I bowled, I think, a 7 or 8 of a spell from the other end. So now I was a bit off, and Gurney hadn't been batting too long, but obviously Rick was on to kind of ramp it up and try and get him out. Gurney's now facing. We know Gurney's not wanting to face Rick, and obviously Rick's aware of that. And Rick's bowled like good pace, good length. Only thing being, Harry Gurney's so worried that it's probably going to be his head. He's backed away and just swung as hard as he could. Yeah. And he didn't get hold of it. He's plinked it, but I've probably been a little bit too tight. I'm trying to make sure there's not a single for him to get off strike.
That happens, right?
I literally am like, oh, God's sake. So I've turned, and you know when you're hoping it's going to go for 4? So you kind of set off. Now, as I saw it land, it's just plodded. I'm like, oh, I better get going. Harry Gurney is obviously aware it's going to be a 2. I need to make it a 3. Because hitting Rick over his head, you know what's going to come next. So he's sprinting for 3 for his life. He needs to make sure he doesn't face Rick again. I pick up the pace and I hear Rick saying, like, hurry up, Barks. I'm like, come on, get going. I turn and let it go. As I let it go, Gurney is turning blind. He's turning blind and just runs for it. My throw's a bit wayward. They get a 3. Clarkey lost it with me. Absolutely lost it with me. And it could have actually been the same game. But then we're bowling. I think it was the same game. Later on, it might be the next innings, we're bowling. And I realised that Ian Blackwell, towards the end of his career, probably not in the best of nick he'd probably want to be. Like, I
remember this.
He was going from like fine leg to third man, doing a lot. And I was on the short side doing, I think Frankie was batting. Who was the lefty, and I was at backup point to the short side. It's either a single or it's 4. And I said to Ian Blackwell, let me do your one and you just do from here, backup point to third man on the same kind of thing. Yeah. So I've done that, but now Rick's bowling from the other end. And that's why I'm at mid-on. So I throw in the ball I shine the ball as I do, throw the ball to Rick. He gets the ball. Cheers, like, nice one. Looks at it. Looks at the field. Blackie is at backward point where I was. Whether he meant to or not, obviously he most likely didn't, but he's bowled this ball and it's been a nice wide half volley, which Frank's just leant on, and it's gone past, like, in front, like, kind of cover for 4. Ian Blackwell's chased it. He was never getting there. He was about 30 metres off. And as it's going for 4, I've just seen Rick's head rotate towards me, which is the opposite side to where the ball's gone. And he just went, why are you there? And I went, what do you mean? And he's like, why are you here and not over there? I went, I'd never have got that. And he's like, oh, right, oh, yeah, got 50 wickets, give it the big one. Tell you what, then, I won't stand at slip with that. And I was like, nah. So we had a massive back and forth. And it kicked off. That's when it kicked off massively. Yeah.
That's made me chuckle. I feel like I can remember that. And yeah, I can remember that, to be honest. I feel like, yeah, that moment when you give him the ball as well, he knows you're there. Doesn't he? Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
He's like got the ball from you.
But I promise you, I honestly would not have got that. I would not have stopped it going for 4. There
No.
was no.
I think there's one of those things as well, isn't it? Bowlers, they sometimes say things at the heat of the battle
Yeah.
that they don't mean, and you have to
I
like
think
laugh
me and
about
Rick,
them afterwards.
me and Rick clashed a fair bit throughout our season together. But we always got on, but there'd always be some little bit of needle back and forth. But still, someone that I know I could rely on as a teammate and a friend off the pitch that we'd always get on. It's just we'd have the odd confrontation.
Brilliant. I haven't particularly got any funny stories from Derby. I mean, I'm sure I do if I go, if I really rack the memory, but nothing that stands out. So we'll move on from Derby. I do have a funny one, which I think people will enjoy. This is from Leicestershire, but this is actually the year before I joined, and it involves a guy called Mark Bettini, who was a bit of a prankster, and he was a great teammate of mine. To be fair, played with him at Essex. I didn't play with him at Leicestershire, but obviously, aware of his pranking skills. He basically was there and hated the coach. Right, I think everyone did. All accounts. His name was Pierre de Brain. I don't know where he is now, but he wasn't at Leicestershire for long. The lads didn't get on with him. I don't know for what reason. I think he was just a bit abrupt, a bit sharp. Generally, that happens sometimes. It didn't work. It clashed. Anyway, Bettini, in all his wisdom, decided we need to teach this guy a lesson, which is like an aggressive stance for the head coach. So, right, we need to teach this bloke a lesson. What can I do that's going to get to him? And like every South African, what do they all love? Any guesses?
They love a braai.
Absolutely right. They love a braai or a barbecue or whatever you want to call it. They call it a braai, don't they? So Bettini broke into this bloke's garden. Right, he broke into his garden. I don't know if it was with someone or not, and basically stole his braai or his barbecue from his garden, and then ransomed it back to him. And he made him run. He made him run laps. So he didn't tell him. So Bettini's anonymous. I'm telling you, Bettini.
Yeah.
But as far as Pierre de Brain's concerned, he was getting left notes saying, "Run laps at the end of the day's play if you want to see your barbecue again." Right. And I'm not even kidding you. This bloke was running laps at the end of a day's play to try and win back his barbecue that Bettini had stolen. There's not much more to it than that. He got his barbecue back in the end after running however many laps that he had to. Bettini didn't play for Leicestershire much more, I don't think, for whatever reason. But yeah, there you go. That's a quick little story, but that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty aggressive. If we move from Leicester to Northants, we haven't really got anything from Northants. Northants, you're not offering much. Just not offering much at all.
I feel like, the funniest thing I can remember at Northants was the year they relayed the field. They relayed the outfield, and literally the ball, you could not get the ball to the boundary. I remember being nicked through the slip cordon, genuinely, and batters would only be able to run 1 or 2. It was like, this is amazing. You could bowl an absolute shower of shit, and just no one could hit it. It was amazing. But let's move on from there. This is one of my favourite stories. Although I don't know if it's a great story to tell, but certainly I was on the receiving end of this, and this is a practical joke from you, isn't it? Do you want to share? Do you want to share this one?
And I mean,
it was a lot of work from you.
Obviously, we've been close mates for a while, and I'd kind of be looking for you at times, thinking, "Where's he gone to?" And then I clocked after a while, and you'd go to the bathroom. So I'm like, right, okay, for a bit of fun. I know you're going to be on your phone or whatever, kind of just Instagram scrolling, whatever it is. So I would then opt to fill a bottle cap of water up and just sneak in, make sure you kind of settled in there, and then I'd just chuck a little bit of water over the side, and I'd tiptoe off. I'd go as far as take my trainers off and do it in my socks so you couldn't really hear anything. The only giveaway for you was that the auto lights would turn on, as I get near. And after a while, I'd hear you saying, "Whoever it is, you better give it a break." That was not going to stop me.
What I would say, but before you keep going, Edgbaston change rooms. There's a big changing area, and the bathroom is kind of open plan. There's no door to it, is there? So you can sneak in.
Yeah.
And if you're smart, you can kind of coincide with other people. So there was no way of telling really what was going on. But anyway, sorry.
So yeah, I mean, it could be. There's times when I'd be thinking on my feet and like, oh, someone's about to walk into the change room and they've got the spikes on. I'm in trainers, so he definitely won't think it's me. And I tiptoe in, and you'd hear someone might even go to the urinal but not see me creep behind them in. I just chuck it over, run off, and you'd be like, say, give it a break, kind of. And one time, Boyd Rankin watched me do it. He just happened to be there when I'd done it, and I've run off, and he thought it was hilarious. And he left it a few weeks, and just thought it was funny. And then he decided, he saw you go to the bathroom, and he's like, Barks. He's like, Barks. Right, he's gone to the toilet, Bass. I'm like, go and get him then, Boyd. So he's then like got all excited and gone and got a massive plastic cup, and he's just shoved it under the water machine, and he's filling it up. And I'm watching like what would be a bottle cap turn into a pint of water almost. I'm thinking that's a lot. I wonder if he'll do it all.
Yeah, thanks for stepping in, Keith.
And then I just heard. I'll try and keep the language a bit cleaner, but. What the? Who's done that, you stupid? As I turn from the players like viewing area, Boyd sprints out of the changing room, panicked. He's gone bright red. He's panicking that I may have done a bit too much, and he's tried to sit down. And obviously, everyone else is looking like, "What's going on there?" You have then obviously come round, popped your head round, and sprayed the whole squad. If I find out who's done it, I swear to you, I'm gonna blah blah blah. Like, oh my god.
Well, I feel like it had gone on for a year almost.
Yeah, it was almost a season. Yeah. Funny. You had one of those you might have had to be there, but it was because there was so many like little just prods of like, oh, that'll annoy you, that'll annoy you, that'll annoy you. Bang, massive water, but it wasn't me, so I wasn't held responsible for it.
I'm pretty sure. Did I work out it was Boyd? I'm pretty sure he was like sat in the corner, like chuckling away.
Yeah.
He basically just threw a Boyd-sized portion on me, didn't he? Simple as that.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I remember being drenched, and my phone wasn't drenched. I was literally
your phone was. Yeah, you were spewing because your phone was soaked, like you were soaking wet from top to bottom.
Oh dear. Yeah, great fun. All right. Okay, moving on from me getting pranked. Worcestershire, New Road. I mean, I've only got good memories from New Road, really.
I mean, I want to keep this short and sweet. I mean, we went there. It was we know it's going to do a bit. Do we bat first? If we can be 2 down if we were 2 down by lunch, we'll take that. And we can set the game up quite well. But it'd be great if we bowl and we were to be having like 4 or 5 down in the first session. We were fortunate enough to get them all out. Me and you got them within 30 overs, 15 overs each, standard. And we went on to win the game within, was it just under 3 days? Was it 3 days? It was 3 days, wasn't it?
It was like bowled them out in the session for 40 odd or whatever. So the game moved on.
Yeah, at that time, Worcester were probably a little bit young. So we ended up going out, obviously, champions. We're happy. We end up seeing a few of their lads out. They're happy.
Yeah, this is the weird thing, isn't it? Like early finish.
Yeah, early finish. They're happy. And then it was only, obviously, we were walking up the next day, hungover, walking in to get our cards from the ground. And they've obviously been called in for a full-on net session where the head coach was not happy with the performance. So a few of their lads, some seriously heavy heads, they're doing like fitness testing and bowling a lot. Really hot day as well, really hot in the morning. So that was an enjoyable day, enjoyable few days for us.
Yeah, well, it was, to be fair. That's probably my best memory. It'd be up there, cricket-wise.
Yeah.
I would say New Road's really interesting, and this isn't like a funny story or anything, but on a bad day at New Road, it can be very flat and slow and offer literally nothing. But if
Yeah.
you get it right and there's a bit of grass on, it does all of a sudden start. It just swings and nips, I feel, and there's always that little bit of carry there. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But like again, it's one of those where, yeah, it can go one or two ways when you get there. But that was certainly a good day. Okay, moving slightly further south here, Gloucestershire at Bristol. This is from recently, mate. Right. So if there's one thing that feels like work in cricket, it is warming up. Warming up every single day, even when you feel rubbish from bowling the day before, all of this sort of stuff. Yeah, it's I think the worst part of the job. Fair?
I agree with you. Totally.
Yeah, rubbish. Anyway, new new flats at Bristol, although they're not that new now, that sort of wrap around the top of the ground.
Yeah.
And you see some stuff in there, don't you? Like quite often. Well, imagine the lad's surprise when one morning we're going, we're sort of grumpy, we're walking out to do our standard warm up, bit of mobility, some jogs and run throughs and stuff. And all of a sudden, out of one of the flats, just a naked couple come out. Amazing, literally, and start like waving at us and stuff like that. I'm not sure to like what degree, and there may even be pictures. We had our photographer, the club photographer, has literally taken a snap of it, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one in the snap as well. Like it's probably it might be on my Instagram. I think maybe it's literally like the team huddle. The lads are all looking, and I'm like there, like laughing like a little schoolgirl. But yeah, they were inappropriate, mate. That's what I'll say. Like the bloke was loving it, and we were sort of like, go on, mate, kind of giving him like a top draw. And yeah, the woman was. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know what I can say really anymore. But she didn't want to just come out and say hello. Do you know what I mean? That's
Wow,
what I would say.
That's pretty rogue.
Yeah. And obviously we're quite close. The away team, if you played at Bristol, it's one of those where the away team normally warms up at the far side. So we were like, yeah, getting a show at 9 a.m. or whatever. Unreal. Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on from that. Is this your debut we're going to talk about? Somerset away.
Somerset away. I think it was my T20 debut. Yeah. Great experience, kind of being able to play against like a Trescothick and a Keyswetter and a few others. But I knew something wasn't right from when we were walking out onto the pitch. As the game started, we were bowling first. And from playing the 50 over stuff, none of the lads had ever done this before, but I realised something wasn't right. We were walking out, and as soon as everyone's heels touched the pitch, they just sprinted off into different directions. And I was thinking, where's everyone going? There's only one place for me to be, and that's near the Andy Caddick little stand that there is there. So I'm.
Which one's the Andy Caddick stand?
As you look out from the change room, like you're 1 o'clock.
Right.
Little small stand. I think I'm sure. So I was like, okay, I'll park myself there. I'm not exactly amazing in the field, but that's fine. I'll go there. And I started off, I think, ended up being third man. And I was bowling. So I was bowling and then going to third man. And Neil Carter's first over, he's run up, bowled. Keyswetter has had a massive flash at this ball. And straight away, I knew I was in the game. This ball, it's a night game. Balls come up. And I realised it's definitely for me. And I don't even need to move. I take one step and like, this is mine. The ball has only just gone over Slip's head, and it's quite high up. And I start hearing this ball fizz. The revs on it were unreal. And as it gets closer, I'm just hearing this. Oh my gosh! Right, I need to be braced for this. Get my hands right underneath me, kind of belly button height. Bang! It's solid in there, but the revs on it, and it came to me cross seam. The revs on it ripped the ball out of my hand and fell on the floor. Somerset fans, like, throw the ball back in. Not a great start. Very quickly after, Ant Botha comes on, bowling Neil Carter's end, the forehand. I'm at 45 for Trescothick, and we're quite close to the apartments, or the retirement apartments, I think they are. Mm-hmm. I'm at 45, and I see Trescothick batting, and before I'm both the balls, he just turns his head, looks at me, and I thought, oh no, he's found. He knows that I'm not great in the field, so he gets down on one knee, little paddle sweep, ball's coming to me, ball starts bobbling. I trying to tack it for a run out, bounces over my hands, through my legs. Like, oh no, right, catch the ball, it's gone 4. Okay, I'm feeling it a little bit. He then goes again, hard sweep, goes to me again. This time it bobbles over my hand, hits my ankle. They run 2. I'm under the pump now, Chris, and I'm panicking. Then Hildreth then batting. Him and Trescothick have had a chat. That's the guy we want to aim for.
That's our guy.
He's reverse swept. Same's happened again. They've run 3 this time, and I'm sweating a lot. I'm panicking. The fans, you can just start hearing them getting louder and louder. And then I end up going and fielding on the boundary edge, just in front of the apartments. And I'm getting a bit of abuse. And I hear one dad say to his 7-year-old son, like, oh, sing this song, blah, blah, blah. And I can hear him whispering this song. So then you hear this lad go, Tinky Winky Dipsy. Oh, no, Tinky Winky Dropsy, la la. And I was like, oh, yeah, real funny, mate. Whatever. Stay in the zone, get myself back on the game. The ball comes out to me, trickles out to me. The whole ground. Oh, I pick it up clean, Chris. Thank God. Pick it up clean. I let go of this ball. Obviously, I'm low on confidence. Like a shot putter, I've launched this ball over Richard Jones's head, who's giving a massive leap. Biggest leap he could have done. It sailed over his head. Ian Bell's jumped, landed across the square, diving, stopping this ball go for 4. I've got loads of abuse again. I just wanted that place to swallow me up. Then on top of it, Ant Balther comes up to me. I think, box. I'm like, yes, yeah. I think, give me some support. It's like, you need to sort your fucking fielding out, hey? Cheers, Bals.
That's amazing. That's amazing, right? That's the sort. That does not happen now, and it's mint. That's funny because when you reflect on it, that's genius. They do that side toward the flats. I do remember Grant. I played with Grant Flower when I was at Essex, who was an absolute jet.
Yeah.
And I remember he was copping a load, not for any real reason, and he took a catch out there, and he literally turned round to them all and went, bang, gave them double turn. And then we all kind of came in to celebrate the wicket. And I can't remember who it was, but I think a couple of lads were like, you need to calm them down now, Grant. Do you know what I mean? They are a lively crowd. He's like, you need to calm them down. So he went back out there and was like, tried to, no, sorry. It obviously didn't work. They started giving him pelters. But yeah, they're a bit of a tasty crowd, to be honest. I enjoyed that. Just what you need from boats as well there.
Yeah.
Sort your effing fielding out. Amazing. We moving on, we haven't got a Glamorgan story.
No.
Although I would, there's not really, no. The only thing I'd say there is the hottest corridor in the world, the away dressing room. That's my only story.
Okay. So then we'll make our way to Hampshire.
Did I play this game?
I'm pretty sure you did.
Was it Hampshire away?
Yeah. I think obviously there've been a few run-ins with Clarkey and Fidel Edwards, where Fidel had just ramped it up and was bouncing everyone, and Clarkey would then do it back. And Rick obviously get quite verbal as well. And normally it'd be Fidel who'd bowl first and it would start. But this game, we were bowling first. So you're kind of thinking, I'm thinking, like, let's see what happens here. Rick can just probably get him out because Fidel couldn't really bat anyway. First ball, Rick's run up, aggressive bouncer. Fidel's got under it, and Rick has just gone at him. I'm like thinking, oh no, because that means Fidel's going to go at everyone now, not just Rick. And Fidel just then, Fidel can't, I think, didn't back down or anything, but for the rest of that game, Fidel bowled the speed of light, just peppering everyone, and there's nothing anyone could do about it. And it's safe to say, he bowled a ball to me, which it was like a cutter. It started on leg stump and hit top of off. I was kind of like, I'll take that. My face is still all right, so it is what it is. But yeah,
that's very professional of you. That.
Well, it was a good ball. It was a good ball, but it's like, you know what? Take it. My body's still intact. I'm all right. But it's just one of those I think he probably didn't need firing up.
No, you got to know your players there, and the thing, Clark. I mean, Clarkey should know that really, but I mean, he's obviously.
I think one of those. He knew he was going to get some anyway, so he probably just thought, I'm just going to give it you now anyway because you're going to give me bites.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Getting it in first. I don't know if that's the way forward. But in Clarkey, to be fair, I don't know how Clarkey plays the short pretty well, doesn't he? So he wasn't necessarily too bothered.
No.
But the lower order are always a bit like, Jesus, man. I remember that game against Surrey, which we're going to talk about later. Ollie Hannah-Dalby doing that. I remember him ducking bouncers and smiling, and I remember being at the other end going, "No, don't wind them up." You know what I mean? Stop winding them up. And Footit was just literally coming in bowling rockets. Folks taking it up here, and Ollie was grinning away. You know, stop winding them up. Okay, Sussex. So this is me, innit, really?
Yeah.
So I think since playing with you, I've really tried to up my celebration game. So
I mean, yeah, it's never ever come across natural what you've done, and it still doesn't. It really feels forced, but we can't help that. That's just part of your makeup. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not very good. If I was, I think like a footballer, I'd probably be like the Alan Shearer. I'd just be happy to score, right? And I'd kind of jog about and be like, yes, get in. I'd probably get the ball from the net and run back to the middle, that kind of thing. But actually, I'm going to tell this story really quickly. We play football on a Friday, right? And our operations manager, a guy called Dan, absolute legend, he scored the other day, right, in our game, toward the end, got the ball, went to run and put it on the centre spot, tripped on his own laces, and basically just face planted into the Astro. When you're like, the operation guy's down, the operations guy's down. Unbelievable. Brilliant moment. But sorry, anyway.
Well, the build up to this celebration was the fact you were bowling probably one of the quickest spells I've seen, and one of the quickest spells I've seen you bowl as well.
Thanks,
as you were coming down the slope, as you really weren't fussed about coming up the slope. So you keep saying. But you had the Sussex lads hopping about quite a bit, and as I hear he used to be called by his teammates, the Grand Fromage was the big cheese was. Matt Pryor was coming into bat, and he obviously didn't play much stuff for Sussex when he was with England, so it was. I think you kind of really upped it a bit more, and I think it was like his first or second ball. He's gone back to pull you.
First ball.
His first ball.
Not that I remember exactly what happened.
First ball, he's gone back to pull you, but he's obviously coming with a bit of chest out, the way he is and stuff like that. And he's gone to pull you, and as his bat's about to try and swing to hit this ball, you've smashed it into his ribs, which I remember looking at him thinking, it's freezing cold, that's hurt. But he did well to show no pain as such. But I remember watching thinking, go on, burn. I hope that hurts. You look at you. You think you can show it doesn't hurt, but we all know deep down that hurts. And then you followed up with literally poles everywhere. Done. Game over. But then, rather than just maybe, I'd like to have seen you just act as like normal.
This is where you got to get the story perfectly right, because I was fired up, right, and it was brilliant. And I think Belly was loving it as well, because obviously he was back from England, Trotty was back. It was like everyone was playing. It was mint. You're normally at fine leg, right? So I got him out, and I obviously England player. He was their big player. I wanted to celebrate like we trying to do. You were trying to help me celebrate and be cool, which I don't need anymore because I just ooze coolness. But then I did, believe it or not. I remember looking for you at fine leg, and I went to do the Cristiano Ronaldo at the Nou Camp. I've got it. I've got this. Just calm
Calm
down.
down. Calm down.
But you, if you watch on YouTube, you can see. So I'm looking at Fine Leg, looking for my buddy Keith, who's not there. I'm like, where is he? But I'm still doing the Ronaldo calm down. And then I don't know where you were. I had to find you, but I kept calming down, and it looked like I was doing an Elton John playing the piano celebration rather than the Ronaldo at the Nou Camp. And I think you were at point. So literally, I've done like the whole. I've done a yeah. It was probably the worst celebration in history from what should have been like a really good moment.
Yeah, you ruined it.
Yeah. I try to dabble with celebrations, if I can when I'm in the mood. Then they're not that choreographed. But I remember doing something against Worcester a few years back, and they reported it as me doing a dab. I'm like, I don't do a dab. I was doing the Superman. Remember the Superman thing from 2012?
Yeah.
But I didn't do it particularly well. But I sometimes get them wrong. That's not my thing really, to try and be too choreographed. I just go with it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I've only been choreographed once, and that was my LB. I'm going to give it out myself. I kind of had a little thought about that a week before, and then it came to me. They appealed. Over to Kent.
This is one. This is one of those where I think you should tell it, but I'll a little bit of a preamble, so to speak. Is if you play under lights, there are definitely grounds. You see them a lot in the IPL where you want to chase under lights because the ball skids on, right? And we had a theory, didn't we? Canterbury. We'd done some stats. We were like, right, this is a ground you want to be chasing. Fair?
Yeah.
I'll leave it with you because I think you spoke to Trout.
Well, I remember the team chat vaguely, but it was we're going to look to bowl first because it'll skid on under lights, and that was kind of the main theme throughout the warm ups and everything like that. Obviously, the captain Jim Tratton goes off to toss the coin and give his call, and it was agreed with Ashley Giles, Graham Welch, and Trouts, and the rest of the team. That's what we're going to look to do. We're going to look to bowl first. Came back, and Trouts, which wasn't often he did this. He did this twice, and they were both against Kent, and the same outcome happened, from what I remember. But in the same year, guys had an epiphany. We're going to bat first. Something just hit me, and I just feel it. We've got to bat first. I've got a good feeling about it. I can't remember the score, but I'm pretty sure it was Warwickshire bowled out for 65. In a 50-over game, and we were finished pretty early. But then the same happened again when we played them at home. We made a call. He did the same thing. I'm pretty sure he did the exact same thing. He just felt as though something else was going to happen, and he was going to correct his wrong decision from last time and make sure he got it right. And then we were skittled for like 48 the second time. So just kind of backfired. But it's safe to say he learned his lesson the second time after that.
I mean, that's wild, isn't it? Because that's what we have. You have a huddle, lads. If we win the toss, we're going to have a bowl, or we're going to have a bat, whatever. There's always that chat. In fact, probably I dare say at every single level, even club cricket on a Saturday, lads. If we win the toss, whatever.
I've had that one other time, which going back to Durham, but it's a second team game. Been raining for 3 days. We were going to bowl first because it would obviously do a lot, especially up at Durham. And my own fault. I was a bit stiff. I run up to bowl Chris, and it's gone down leg. The ball's gone down to fine leg. Dougie Brown, who's taking the mitt's gone to get the ball. He's run back. He's seen the ball. He's just become a sponge. Changing room comes. We're chatting. He goes around the team. What are we going to do? What do you want to do? Bowl first. Bowl first. All 12 players. Yeah, bowl first. We're going to bat first, and here's why. They're going to bowl. We hit the ball into the outfield. The ball's going to balloon. It won't do a thing. We'll be fine. 49 for 9 we were.
I love it. Because the idea is not the. I get it, but
I get it. They had to bowl bad and they didn't, and we screwed ourselves over.
Is there? You might not know this, and I don't know. Is it Occam's razor is a thing, right? And it's like the simple answer's the right one. I think that's the gist. Sometimes at the toss, people overthink it. Jesus, when you're just like, it's green, it's April in the UK. don't get clever. Let's just have a bowl. What's the worst that can happen, kind of thing? Or equally, cracking the sunny middle of the summer. Or you know, we're gonna bowl. What? You're like, come on, sun's out. Wicket looks good. Let's have a bat. Here's one for Kent, by the way. Little side note. I learned to play poker in Kent. Right. Got down to Canterbury for a 4-dayer in the twos, where it used to be a combined thing. So it was Middlesex and Kent against Sussex and Essex.
Yeah.
4 days, Canterbury. Literally gale force winds. It was deemed unsafe to move the covers. So it was like no issue with rain. It was just really windy, but too unsafe to move the covers. Literally played poker for 3 days non-stop. There was a guy called Rob Furley, who was a bit of a jet, I reckon, at poker. But anyway, we literally played all day. They came back to the hotel, played all night, tutored by this bloke. Mate, epic. Not looked back since. But yeah, okay. Anyway, from Kent, we'll go over the Dartford Tunnel, shall we, to Essex.
Essex, I mean, looking at it, this isn't that funny, but it was just interesting that we basically bowled pretty well day one against Essex on a flat deck, and we had them 220 for 4, I think. And end of the day, it was seen as a good day. We'd done well. They just dug the heels in and whatnot. Day 2 comes around. They don't really do much. Session 1 again. Same in session 2 of day 2. And then they let the kitchen sink. They just threw everything at it. Like, they just threw absolutely everything at it. Teed off. I think they ended up with like 580 with an hour to spare at the end of day 2, and when they put us into bat. And then they had Wagner come and just bounce our better batters. And come the end of that day, the bowlers were then blamed, specifically me, I think. I didn't bowl enough bouncers. I'm like, we have Boyd who's 6'8". Why? I bowl 75. Why am I being like ousted to bowl bouncers? Like, no. But it was amazing how it went from being a good day 1 to not much happening for 2 sessions. Let's stick in there. We're going all right to bowlers. This is your fault. And that's the kind of the issue you can have in a team, can't you? It becomes batters, bowlers. You're like, hang on a sec. You lot didn't do X, Y, Z, and now the you bowlers didn't do it. Yeah.
Cricket. You got to avoid that, because in cricket, it works. It doesn't work like that, does it? It's like one thing affects the other, and it's all carnage. I do have a good Essex story, which actually I'm going to tell. So from my experience playing there, brilliant county, absolutely loved it. Graham Gooch is God, right? He is the pinnacle of Essex cricket. So Essex, like a lot of teams, you play a bit of pig, or I don't know what you want to call it, like red arse kind of thing in the warm-up. Anyway, basically, if you lost, bend over and you get someone who will drop kick a ball into your butt kind of thing. I remember losing, and Moz Chambers, anyway, it was his turn to drop kick it into my butt. He missed me from point blank range, and the ball, you know, when you're like, I'm facing that way, so I'm facing like the square, and Gucci's out there just, you know, being Graham Gooch, being a legend. But I can see immediately. I can see from the moment it leaves Moz's foot almost what's happening here. So I'm bent over. The ball goes past me, over my shoulder. It's heading straight out to the middle, and it literally hit Graham Gooch in the face. You know, like, oh my god! Right, of all the things, like Moz at that point was trying to like break into the team and stuff. And you know, when you're younger, you do something like, oh my god, that's the worst thing could happen.
Career done.
Yeah, literally. Out for the count. Amazing. Right, we got two trips left, mate. We've got the London trips now. We're coming in. We're going in on the North Cirque to Middlesex. Were you going to surprise me with this one?
Well, it was just I only mentioned it because this involved me and you getting someone to do something else. But there was 2 stories actually. There's another story which you'll remember. But
is this the Richard Jones story?
No.
Oh,
I remember that one, but if you want to add that in.
Oh, please, yeah.
Well, this one was, I think, a late call. We had a youngster at the time, Aaron Thomason, get a call up doing 12-man duties. And he got there. I think he may have come with Welksy.
Probably.
Down with Welksy. But I think he went for a drink and this and the other food or whatever else. And he'd spent all this money, basically, that he'd brought with him. So he had no money for food. I don't actually
that shouldn't happen, should it?
No, but obviously he was young, so he kind of is what it is. But obviously we were off for rain and we weren't going to get back on. It was terrible rain. The square's covered, and we were trying to look at making Aaron do something to earn some money so we could buy some dinner. And we decided, I don't know if you remember, but we would always go to the pub round the corner from the ground after a day's play. And we were talking about going there. So, right, Aaron, we'll tell you what we'll do. If you can get from the change room door all the way down the Lord's steps, through the hall, out onto the pitch, down those steps, all the way around the square, soaking wet, and be back up in less than 60 seconds, we'll give you 20 quid.
I feel like we gave him more than that, didn't we?
I think we might have, yeah.
Yeah, we must have done.
Yeah, no,
unless he was that silly.
But the weather was so bad. It wasn't like a little bit of rain. It was torrential. It was so bad. And to be fair, he did it. I think he did it in like 58 seconds. He got soaked, but he was like, I need to eat. So fine. The other one was I don't remember the pub around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy had introduced himself, basically kind of showing off a bit, flossing. He's got a bit of cash, and he does hair transplants.
Yes, I do remember this.
Atik Jarvid, being Atik Jarvid, just went, "Oh, you're giving it all? You got this cash? Pay for everyone's food and drink, then." And the guy looked like, "Oh my god, yeah, okay, fine." So everyone just like ordering loads of food, loads of drinks.
Yeah, and he got it, didn't he? To be fair, this guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
brilliant.
Christ. So going back to the first story, if you go through my Instagram, my personal Instagram, you go to the bottom. There's clips of that rain break that you're talking about on there.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure I was doing like loads of. I'm pretty sure there's one of me doing like an elbow drop off the bench onto Clarkey who's asleep. And then putting like a wrestling voiceover on it and stuff like that. Aaron's in the video where Trout catches the ball and just boots it out of the changing room doors, and Aaron's like, "What?" The other one I remember here was Richard Jones. I'll always remember this. Was overslept. He had a night out because I think he was 12th man, and he overslept. Not that it's the end of the world, but I remember him literally out running from the Danubus Hotel up to the changing rooms, out to the middle because he had to bowl. He had to bowl in the nets or something before the start, and he literally rocked up drunk. I swear he was drunk in his bowling boots. I remember being like, "Mate, you're all right. Chill. Well, you made it in time," kind of thing. But yeah, Lords is brilliant in it. To be fair, even the Danubus over the road makes me laugh. There's all sorts of. It's just a good trip.
Yeah.
Last one. Do you prefer the Oval or Lords, by the way?
That's a tough one. Lords, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Just.
Let's do Surrey though, because this is funny.
So this one I've called it no curry, lost in a hurry. So for those who are listening, we always travel down the day before, and we'll get to a ground maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Do a bit of a warm up, a bit of a stretch. If you want to have a hit, have a hit. If you want to have a bowl, and then that'll be then training. Who's doing what for food? Some people want to stay at the hotel, get room service, go out for food, whatever. Me, Wrighty, and Ricky Clark had planned to go for food. I think we were going to do a Pizza Express.
I think it was literally a quick Pizza Express because it was the first game of the year, which is a big thing. That I think every year.
Yeah. So I wanted to be on it. Surrey were a hit and miss team, but they had some very good players, and they had Kumar Sangakkara, who obviously an amazing player. And just before we left, our bowling coach Alan Richardson just said, "Who fancies coming for a curry?" Which to me was like, no way. I don't want a curry inside of me before I bowl the next day. I don't feel my stomach can be settled. I'd do it on a batting day where you're going to be batting and whatever else, but not day one, especially start of the season. So me, you, and Rick said no. We're going to just do something else, and we ended up being like 2 doors down from them because the curry place they went to was next to Pizza Express. But we did our own thing, as we've done for years. We then get there on day one. It's a beautiful, sunny, hot day. There's just talk of batting first. You can only bat first when it's like that. Obviously, we had Clarkey there, who also said, like, at the Oval, if it suns out, you got to bat first.
Yeah,
Wicket
look up, not down.
Yeah, wicket looked beautiful to bat on. And clearly, the captain, Ian Bell, I'm not sure he was that confident of wanting to bat first on it for whatever his reasons were. So we won the toss and bowled. And I think Surrey made about 500 in not too long a time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think probably 500 in maybe a day in a session.
Yeah, and we even probably from lunch and then tea and then the end of the day and then lunch the next day, we were getting sprayed for our efforts with the ball. And we did end up getting them out, but I think you kind of ramped it up a little bit more, but through kind of frustration of decisions that were made and what type of wicket it was and everything else. And Sanga Kumakara, I forgot his name. Sangakkara was just literally playing it like he did. It was so easy for him. It was ridiculous. And then we bat and they run through us. They had Jade bowling pretty quick. They had Mark Foote on song and he took a 10 in the game. Yeah. And we were bowled out.
Yeah,
we were bowled out in no time, twice, end of the game. We come inside and safe to say our director of cricket wasn't happy with us, which I can understand. We didn't bowl as well as we probably liked, but at the same time, the conditions were definitely to bat first. And we got blamed. And the reason why we got beat was because we didn't go for a curry with the bowling coach the night before.
Yeah. Well, I think it was probably fair. Yeah, crazy.
I'm pretty sure a curry was not going to make the difference of me or us bowling and getting them out. Maybe, let's be honest, we didn't bowl as great as what we'd like to, but also the toss was crucial there.
Yeah, but imagine if we were full of curry and we had a bowl. It could have been even worse.
We'd still be fielding that.
Yeah, like Jesus. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's not that. That's where it's annoying when stuff like that gets said, because that's not, not a fair reason.
It's not true. It's not true. No. Like any excuse now, and that'll do.
Absolutely. Across the board, we weren't very good, were we, that day? And actually, I genuinely believe that set the tone for what was a poor year.
Oh, we got relegated that year. Yeah,
we did. Yeah, set the tone for a poor year.
I'd agree with you.
Mate, there you go. We've got a little story from everywhere there, bar Derby, which we apologise for. But yeah, that was good fun. I enjoyed that, retelling some of them. And we've gone on for just over an hour, and it's Christmas Day, so we should probably wrap it up, mate.
Yeah, totally agree, mate. It's been a great year. Great year for us.
Well, we got a New Year's episode, which we'll do, obviously for New Year's Day. But yeah, it has, mate. Amazing. This is our first Christmas having done this, so exciting. Yeah, we're really pleased with it, aren't we? But hopefully things be even better moving forward. But look, have a great Christmas, everyone. Enjoy it. Spending time with loved ones and stuff like that. Yeah, we certainly will be. Take it easy.
Cheers.